Welcome to the Fantasy 40 podcast with your host, John Dabari.
I can beat the shit out of Hollywood Brown if you'd like.
Matt Walker.
Like the DK Metcalf of running back.
And Andrew Berg.
I love Hakeem Butler, actually. He's starting to grow on me.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow the guys on Twitter at the Fantasy 40. Enjoy the show.
We are back. Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy 40. Myself, John Dabari, my co-host Matt Walker, and we are missing Mr. Andrew Burke once again. He has self-quarantined up in Washington, to the best of our knowledge. He is laying low, hiding from the coronavirus that is ravaging his great state of Washington, or he's at work. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. How you doing, Walk?
I'm doing well, and it's breaking news. Andrew Burke lives in a nursing home in upstate Washington, so he is not self-quarantined. He is just quarantined. So best of luck, Burke. Hopefully you get an internet connection at some point so you can record us in the future.
With the rookie stuff kind of being in full swing, we already tackled free agents in a previous episode. We thought it would be a good time to lay out some trade targets. So buy low, sell high. Sell low, buy high, however you want to figure it out for yourself. But we went through current ADP for startups and kind of used that as our barometer. Then we were going through looking at guys that we are currently selling at their nowadays and guys that we're buying at their current prices. So this should be kind of cool. See where we are on some players compared to consensus in the industry. So a little high, a little low on some people, and hopefully you can use this in your leagues to get yourself some value players. Walk, you want to start us off with someone you're selling?
Yeah, and this one hurts right out of the gate, but full disclosure, we're working off of the startup ADP that you provided from DLF, and I didn't make it past good old number 10 on this list, who is my boy and no one else's. No one else is allowed to have him. He's all mine. Chris Godwin. A late first round startup pick right now in an unsettled Tampa Bay offense where it sounds like there's a good chance that Winston is not back as the quarterback. And I think that, well, I don't think that's a bad thing for us as dynasty owners. We want Winston back in Tampa for as long as humanly possible, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. So to see Godwin at number 10 above Mike Evans, where he belongs, in my opinion, but still the two of them at the 1-2 turn, I'm selling both of those guys, to be honest with you, because cashing out on Godwin, I'm okay with it. And Mike Evans, I was never that high on. So the fact that he's still retaining value as the first pick of the second round, I'm just going to go with the Tampa Bay wide receivers. I would be shopping them.
Don't you think, I've seen other people on Twitter say this, but if Brady ends up in Tampa, doesn't that boost Godwin a little bit if he's going to be playing out of the slot more often? That's kind of Brady's preferred guy. I mean, I don't know how much higher he can get than where he's at now. Like you said, he might be at a peak either way, but do you think Brady coming there gives Godwin a bump and would bump Evans down more?
Yeah, I mean, Godwin is wide receiver 5, so you're right. There's no way to go but down almost for him with some of the names that are above him. And yeah, if Brady ends up there, sure thing. But I don't think there's a chance in hell that Brady ends up there, to be honest with you. I mean, I've heard it rumored recently, but I don't think that Tampa Bay is a Tom Brady away from competing for the Super Bowl.
That's what I said. Well, we were in that DM talking about that. And yeah, I don't know why he would go there either.
Yeah, why go there? I mean, is there a tie to Bruce Arians? I don't think so. You know, does he want to live in Florida because it's tax-free? What's he give a shit? His wife makes 10 times what he does.
It's ridiculous.
He wants to go somewhere else and win.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't, to me, make much more sense to go to the Chargers because at least they have a formidable defense. I think their offensive line is shit, which is why I don't think he ends up there. But that team makes more sense to me for him. But I still think more than likely he ends up back with the Patriots. I've heard Titans rumblings, and I can buy that with Vrabel and their O-line and their run game, and they're already, a playoff team.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me. I just don't see Tampa Bay. It makes no sense to me.
I agree.
We've been shocked before, but Brady's not going to be hurting for offers.
No.
We've already heard 2 years, $60 million fully guaranteed from the Raiders, even though they're,
Denying
trying
it.
to shoot down that. But I mean, yeah, he's going to get 30, 35 mil anywhere he goes. So why would that destination need to be Tampa Bay? I don't buy it. But yes, to your question, if he ends up there, good news Godwin, bad news Mike Evans, obviously.
Yeah. I didn't even have to go that far. You said, 10?
Yeah.
I went much earlier, and it's something I've brought up repeatedly here, but Zeke Elliott, number 5 overall with McCarthy coming in. We have been a very anti-Mike McCarthy pod since day one.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
Rightfully so. He's deserved everything we've said about him.
Chance.
Yes.
There is no chance Zeke is seeing his usual volume. I just will refuse to believe it under McCarthy, because we've seen him do it time and time again with multiple backs over his time in Green Bay. Pivoting to buy just for a second, Tony Pollard is the first guy on my buy list. He's going 143rd overall. What's that, end of the 12th? Yes, all the Tony Pollard, because he's going to get the work if Zeke gets banged up at all, even though he's been pretty healthy. But he's going to get involved just because we've seen that from McCarthy. But for me, I'm selling Zeke, especially if you can get a, pretty massive return for him in terms of picks and everything. And Pollard is one of my favorite buys this year. Unfortunately, no one's willing to move him. I've tried.
Yeah, I'm a Pollard fan. If anyone goes back to the draft last year, he was a target of mine just about everywhere. I just liked the kid's skill set, and he was so undervalued. I originally didn't like that he landed in Dallas, because that was one of the few places where they had the bell cow back situation, but he still forced his way onto the field and was productive when he got the touches.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I mean, we're talking another 300 carry season for Zeke. Going into year 5, he did get paid. Who knows what the future holds? He's not chasing down another contract. So, couple that with, like you said, McCarthy, who traditionally splits up backfield touches. And, I think short of just likely getting all the kind of goal line and high value touches, Zeke's 350 touch seasons might be in the rear view. So at pick 5, I can't argue that. And clearly I agree with you about buying low on Tony Pollard if it is such a thing. But I think he did too well last year to kind of fit that, that spectrum of buy low. And then anyone that knows anything about Mike McCarthy and everything that you kind of read, even on Twitter, about how he deploys his offense, probably pumped him up a little bit too far for our liking.
Real quick, just looking at recent trades with Zeke, he's not pulling as much as you would expect, like in a vacuum. Zeke straight up for the 102. One deal is Zeke for 2 firsts and a second, but and a 2022 first and a 2022 second. So you're not even seeing the return for 2 or 3 years.
Make that deal.
The Zeke returns are not that good as I scroll through the trade finder.
Yeah, I mean, that's shocking. I don't own Zeke anywhere, literally anywhere. What's he going in? Looks like he's going into his age 25 season come July. So still young. That contract is still going to work him through his prime as he was a 21-year-old rookie. But, he also has almost 1,200 carries, another 190 receptions. So he's already 1,400 touches roughly in his career. Maybe people are scared off. Yeah, maybe last year was the year to deal Zeke, because I'm not moving him for any of those trades you just told me.
No.
I mean, not even the 102 straight up where I know I'm getting, what's Jonathan Taylor or Swift, whoever doesn't go 1. That doesn't equal Elliott now and for realized value. So I'm not making that deal just to get younger again. I'm not hitting a reset button.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to his age 30 season.
Yeah,
but
it's not
that
like
is
he's freaking Todd Gurley, who's just literally fallen off a cliff value-wise, where he is almost a buy low at this point in time as a 25-year-old who's currently going pick 39 in ADP and as late as pick 52 overall in the 6 drafts that we're looking at. He's a year older than Zeke with a degenerative knee, and look at that discrepancy in value.
Yep.
34.
So anyway, we'll get off of these Cowboys and move on. Who is another sell you have for this year?
Another sell I have, and you're not going to like this, but we have discussed it on recent pods, and I, again, did not have to go too far down the list to get to good old number 20. And that is the only person I can describe as your boy, even though I like him as well. But Leonard Fournette, 25 years. I think this is his last year in Jacksonville, which is the best case scenario for him because they just force feed him touches. You and I have talked about the 100 targets he did not deserve in the passing game last year. Well, he's probably going to get him again this year, short of bringing someone else in, but I don't think he's long for the Jaguars. So there's just volatility. I don't think his game is going to age well, personally. And you were just talking about Zeke at 24 years old. Well, Fournette's 25, and he's already had a much longer injury history and missed games to this point. So if I can get late second round startup value for Fournette, I'm taking that all day. I mean, in this ADP we're looking at, Josh Jacobs is 24 overall. I would do that deal straight up in a heartbeat. I would much rather have Josh Jacobs than Leonard Fournette.
I regret to inform you that I disagree. It's going to be hard for him to have as good a season as he has had. I agree with everything you said. I do love him, but yes, if you're looking to get out from under him, if you have him, this is the time to do it because the odds of him replicating that season are slim to none. Looking at recent trades for him, straight up from Amari Cooper, Fournette with N'Keal Harry for Devontae Adams, Fournette and Metcalf for DJ Moore and a first.
Oh, goodness. I like that one.
Here's one. You want to you're not selling high. Fournette for Noah Fant in the 303.
Was that a tight end only league?
I don't know. That's disgusting.
Great.
And then Fournette for Ingram and a 1 and a 2.
I moved Fournette personally in a league last year for 2 second-round picks, and this is it's a full IDP league. It's just one quarterback, no tight end premium, but it's a legit draft. And both seconds were early. It was a guy that was hoarding picks. And I ended up with DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel with those 2 picks. And
it's not terrible.
I'm so happy about that move. But, yeah, he's one that I think he's currently at 20 overall. I think there is a stronger likelihood that he is outside of the top 60 next year than inside the top 40.
60.
Yeah.
That hurts. I'll go down the list a little bit here. Kind of a guy you like right next to our man Fournette there. At quarterback, I am selling Lamar Jackson. I am not. It was the same thing I said last year with the kid in Kansas City whose name is escaping me, Mahomes. He's at peak. You know what I mean? Unless he's the best quarterback of all time, he's going to have a hard time replicating what he did this year. Now, he does bring additional value with his legs. Obviously, in the offense they run, they do a lot of design runs for him, and he gets a lot of carries on the run pass options. But the odds of him being this good every year forever and not getting hurt are slim to none. To me, if you can get a massive return on him, I don't see why you wouldn't kick the tires on it.
Yeah, and listen, as a Lamar Jackson owner in a lot of places, because he was cheap, because he ended up going late first to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of buzz around him. I got him okay, I'm just going to take him. even in one quarterback leagues. I'm like, didn't even need a quarterback. I'm like, there's just a certain point you take the risk. He shouldn't be the 21st overall pick. I mean, look, this startup ADP is not super flex. This is just standard startup ADP. And he's going 4 picks before Mahomes at 25. The next quarterback going off the board here is Deshaun Watson at 49. And then we have to go all the way down to 70 to get Kyler Murray, 72 Dak, 73 Russell Wilson. What are people doing?
They're insane.
If that's the value, then yes, by all means. And there were a couple 14s in here for Lamar Jackson and a bunch of mid-20s and a 33, but that still averages a 22nd pick overall, and he's 21st on this list. I mean, couldn't agree more. Get out of the Lamar Jackson business. Although I do think he can replicate this for a few more years. Just watching how he plays, short of a knock on wood catastrophic injury, the way he runs is majestic. I mean, he is just amazing how he plays. And this is with still a very limited passing game, very limited offensive weapons in the passing game.
Yeah.
It can only go up. I mean, Willie Snead and Miles Boykin can't be your wide receiver twos. Marquise Brown shouldn't be your wide receiver one in an offense. If they do anything of significance in that, I think he can actually outscore what he did last season, because I think the rushing production is replicable, and I think he has a higher ceiling in a passing game. But he's not going to get above 21 in a 1 QB league. So
here are some recent 1 QB league trades. Lamar Jackson, 4. Derek Carr, Robert Woods, and 103. Give me that package. Jackson, 4. Terry McLaurin, and 201. Depending what you also have at quarterback, I could pull the trigger on that. Lamar Jackson and Albert Wilson. So just Lamar Jackson, 4. Dak Amari, 126. This must be a huge league. 1.26 and 201.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you just do that.
You're getting Dak.
You're getting a bonus of Amari Cooper for your troubles. As much as I hate Dak Prescott, just personal biases.
110. Jackson
10 dynasty quarterback
for 110 and 112. Yes, sir. And obviously, the teams that are trading these guys, they probably have other quarterbacks on their roster. Lamar straight up for Mahomes. Give me Pat Mahomes every time in that one.
Yeah, that's just poor math. I mean, what Mahomes got hurt and had a little bit of a down year. Like, the people that thought he was going to throw 50 touchdowns every year of his career are just fucking imbeciles. But you saw peak Mahomes again in these playoffs, and that is going to sustain much longer than Lamar Jackson's legs will in the NFL. So I agree. I mean, just at face value, if I can turn Lamar Jackson into Patrick Mahomes, yep. Where do I sign?
Yes.
I'll take Patrick Mahomes in every single dynasty league for the stability. I mean, I know we all love the rushing upside, but I can't disagree with you there. I didn't even look at quarterbacks for this, to be totally honest with you, but he is a screaming sell.
So who else are you selling?
I am selling Travis Kelce, 29 overall.
Oh, we're on the same page.
30-year-old tight end. Going in the early 3rd round. I get the advantage of it. I mean, full disclosure, Kittle's up at 19 overall, 26 years old. You get the peak years of Kittle are coming screaming right at you, while I think we're seeing the tail end of Travis Kelce. And while I don't like the comparison, I mean, it's just further in a similar place in life, I believe. I mean, Zach Ertz is actually a little younger, but Zach Ertz is going 68th in startups right now. And while I would not take Zach Ertz at 68 either, it's just a point of reference as the guys that were the arguable 1 and 2 tight ends for the last couple of years until Kittle weaseled his way in there, are going roughly 40 picks apart. I mean, if Kelce is still carrying that value, I'm cashing that ticket. I think he's probably got 1-2 seasons more of elite production in him, and then he'll be a lower end or mid-lower end tight end 1, probably as early as 2021.
The
he's
The other-
he's not picked 29 in 2 years. That's for sure.
No, the other thing to keep in mind with him is he's been relatively healthy his whole career. And tight ends, based on all the studies injury people have done, tight end is the most often injured position, if I'm not mistaken. So it's something's got to give. I mean, he could end up just being an Iron Man and never getting hurt. However, as you said, approaching 30 years old, 31 pretty soon, he is more likely than not to get injured, in my opinion. So for me to get out of it and get a decent return, I'm getting out for sure. I'm on board with that one completely.
Yeah, I mean, that one just screamed at me. It's, you look at roughly the top of the position, and if he's still commanding that value, let's put him on that old trade block and see what comes back.
You unintentionally set me up because my next one on my list is Zach Ertz. I'm kind of in the same boat with Kelsey as you are as far as Ertz is concerned. He's 29. His replacement is there. They're not going to re-sign him. So is he going to end up in a better situation than Philly? It's unlikely. And then he's going to be in his 30s. They have Goddard, who's going to take over for him. They're not going to re-sign Ertz, is my opinion. I think you've felt the same way from day one. So for me, getting out of the Ertz business when you can stream tight ends, you give me some draft picks and I can fill up at running back and wide receiver or quarterback if I'm in super flex. But let me throw darts in the draft and I'll happily get rid of Ertz and stream tight ends all season long. But kind of everything you said about Kelsey, he's 29. He's already has his replacement in house. At least Kelsey has no competition. Ertz has competition at his position currently. So for me, I'm getting way out of the Zach Ertz business if I can.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And in the one league I have Travis Kelsey, I made a trade to get Dallas Goedert last year, and I'm hoping to move Travis Kelsey this year. And I'll rough it out 1 year with Dallas Goedert if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
While Zach Ertz still gets the lion's share of the tight end targets, because I think a year from now, Goddard's going to be a top 5 dynasty tight end.
Yes, sir.
And Ertz is going to be gone. So if I can, like I said, I'll cash that Kelsey ticket a year early rather than a year late. But I'm right there with you. I mean, I was surprised that Ertz was that much further down below Kelsey, but he should be. So his value, he's not going to command what Kelsey is. But I'm with you. They're the clear top 3 at tight end, and I mean, ironically enough, Evan Ingram's going 1 pick before Ertz at 67. But, they're the names, so I'd be moving Ertz too, 100%. But
so
you went below a cavalcade of guys that I'd be remiss not to at least mention before maybe we turn it into the buys category. But Todd Gurley, 39. Melvin Gordon, 40. Marlon Mack, 51. Sell all of these human beings.
why Mac? I understand the others.
Mac, the Indies already come out and said pretty much they're not giving him a new deal. So I believe he's in his contract year with Indianapolis. So it's clear that they do not believe that he is the back of the future there. And they could bring someone in. Yes, he's in his 4th season, and he was a 4th-round pick. So, yes, he is in his last year with them, and they're not even discussing a new contract with him. So that reason, the fact that they don't allow him to catch passes, even though I don't think he's incapable, the fact his rookie year, he had his most receptions, and it was 21. I mean, granted, that was an Andrew Luck year, I believe. Andrew Luck played in 2017. It's sad that I have to question that. The present, he's on, off, back around. You with me, John?
Yeah.
Andrew Luck played in 2017?
Great question. Yes.
No, he didn't.
No.
That was Jacoby Brissett. I brought it up. 2017 season was 15 starts by Jacoby Brissett, 1 start by Scott Tolzien. So that was the last off year he had from the shoulder, I guess. And then he played 18, and then he retired in 19. Let's see, I thought I was close on that. But no, that wasn't Luck. That would have probably explained it somewhat. But they just don't throw him the ball either. So he's limited. He's a 2-down back on likely an expiring contract. He's not going to go anywhere else and see the 200, 250 carries that he saw last year. Did I make 250 carries up? Whatever. Talking a lot too much for a guy that I don't believe will be in Indianapolis next year. He might not even be a starting running back in the NFL next year. So he still had a statistically good season by all accounts in 2019, and I think you can sell him on that. I mean, he was a 1,000-yard rusher, 8 touchdowns. That is something you can convince people of. I mean, almost 1,200 all-purpose and 8 touchdowns, off 1,010 the year before. Not too shabby. 1,000-yard, 9 touchdown average the last 2 years. I'm moving that because I think he is at peak right now. So that's why it's Marlon Mack. The other two, Todd Gurley, I referenced earlier, his value is just going to keep going down. I mean, they have to incorporate Darrell Henderson more this year. Who knows if he'll hold up if they do give him the load. It looked like they were just willing to destroy him late last season. Even in like blowout games, they were leaving him in there and making him take hits unnecessarily. So I think the perception has changed in LA of how to use Todd Gurley. And then Melvin Gordon, let's just say it one more time for the people in the back. He sucks, and he's still the top free agent running back on the market. He is going to go somewhere. It is going to be seen as positive because wherever he goes, he's going to get the touches, but he is also a 26-year-old running back going to a new team. 26, 27 is the decline. I would wait for him to land somewhere, and I would move him as quick as humanly possible.
Cannot. Well, I like Gurley a little more than you, but I don't disagree at all with Melvin Gordon.
Well, listen, where I have Gurley, I know I'm not moving him because I won't just accept anything for him. He still has value, and no one's even paying for that low-end value. I mean, he was a running back 1 last year. I mean, he just wasn't running back 1 where he was the year prior. I mean, he's still going to live in probably that 8 to 14 range for the next probably 2 seasons. So it's worth keeping. But if you can get value for Gurley, early to mid first plus, yes, I'm getting out from Gurley.
So I've got one more sell, and then we'll move over to our buys. My one quick final sell, Raheem Mostert is going 115th overall, which is a 9th round pick for a guy who popped in the playoffs and got everybody all excited. Just behind him at running back, Tariq Cohen, Royce Freeman, and my man Tony Pollard, who I mentioned earlier. Every year there seems to be somebody who explodes in the playoffs and their ADP shoots through the roof. He's got plenty of competition at backfield. They don't lean heavily on a single back. He's going to be, if you want him in best ball, I get it, but he's going to be hit and miss on a week-to-week basis. He's not going to be their lead back next season. So in the 9th, if people want to pay for him, you can come get him. I'll take a 3rd and be happy, but give me any of the guys going behind him in a startup.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that at all because when I got down there, I started looking at the names after him. But the one thing that makes me happy is seeing Tevin Coleman all the way down at 146 where he fucking belongs. Raheem Mostert over Tevin Coleman every day. And, some of the names you mentioned, Tony Pollard and Tariq Cohen. I mean, listen, I'll take Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison over him just for the opportunities that both of those guys have. Shit, give me Justice Hill. Over him. Like I'll swing and miss on those guys being an injury away than a 27-year-old journeyman with a great story. Love Raheem Mostert. He was an Eagle for a minute, so I like him and great playoff story. But you're right. That is you cash that ticket all day. You tell everyone, do you see that playoff run that he had? It was amazing. He could do that.
Guy in 2020.
Yeah, move that.
Pivoting over to buys, actually, I'll start with someone who you just mentioned as a sell. I actually like Gurley at 39 overall. Like you had mentioned, he in a down year, he still finished as a RB1. So to me, the value is still there. They brought in Henderson. Everybody got excited, and he didn't do shit. So I think Gurley is still going to be the guy there. Is he up to that peak level Gurley? It didn't appear to be the case, but he's got another offseason to get healthy. I and they also had the Super Bowl loser hangover season, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Gurley have a pretty decent bounce back year and get some decent value for him. And he's not bringing a ton back in trades. Gurley and carry on for Nick Chubb, which I would take, but I have a sick obsession with Nick Chubb.
Now go with the first word.
Obsessionation.
Obsessionation.
Too excited.
I like it.
Got the corona. Gurley with Mike Evans for McCaffrey, which I would also take that one. So Gurley is still, to your point of him being a sell, he's actually still bringing back quite a bit. So I couldn't fault anybody who's dumping him for a nice return. But for me, I am going to be trying to get Gurley. Hopefully some people are down on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a matter of return. I think you almost talked me out of it, but allowed me to explain a little further. Yeah, I'm not moving him for anything. There are some guys that I'm moving for anything.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a cliff. Like Gurley, again, I think I said he's going to be between running backs 8 and 14 again this year. I don't think he has top 5 upside again. I think those big receiving days are done for him. I just don't think that's a product of that offense, and he just really didn't look good in that role. But he's still going to be their goal line guy. He's still going to threaten 10 to 12 touchdowns, for the next year or two. So we can get to 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, sure, that's what you want around. So what within reason. So touche on the Todd Gurley buy, because I wish I had him in a league you wanted to buy him, so we could try and figure this out. But my first buy, and just to so we'll stay on topic. We were talking tight ends, and we all know I like tight ends. So I'd be remiss if I didn't just double down on what we both agreed with earlier. And if we're selling Zach Ertz, then buying Dallas Goedert at 104 overall is pretty sound business. He's pretty special, and he's going to be tied to Carson Wentz, for the peak of both of their careers. And I believe that Ertz is a year away from greener pastures because he's going to be trying to chase money somewhere else. They drafted Goddard to replace him, not to play alongside him. And Goddard has not disappointed when given the opportunity. This guy is special. He is just a special tight end, diamond in the rough. I don't like his first name, but I love his game. He's a guy that has not even scratched the surface of what he can be. Tight end 1 overall. He can. And in this offense, he can threaten Kittle and Kelsey if he is the man. Not with Ertz there, but next year, he's a guy we will be talking about in the top 3 to 5 dynasty tight end conversation. And if you can still get him around that 104, I mean, what's that, round 8? That's stealing to me, because you've already filled out your starters and got some bench before you get to the tight end. And if that's where people are valuing him, you could probably still get him, quote, on the cheap.
Yeah, just keeping it with the category. We are nothing if not a tight end centric podcast. I got a couple, so I'll just go through my list. I've got several tight ends in my buy list. Darren Waller, who is at 89 overall, which I wish he was a little cheaper. That would make me slightly happier, but 89th overall. But his teammate, Foster Moreau, who I loved last year coming out, he's going 269, and I'm a little confused on why he's that low. I believe he was second among rookies in receiving touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I think every pass he caught was a 1-yard touchdown.
Look, they're
they're still touchdowns.
Yes,
so 7.1 points right there. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Oh, he had 5, not 7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on either of those. I mean, Darren Waller at 89, I love Darren Waller. Don't get me wrong. But if 104 is Dallas Goedert, give me that value all day over Waller. Even though Waller's only 27 years old. I mean, he seems like he's been around for a while. But he still has some peak earning years left, and he just got a nice deal with the Raiders. And whether it's Derek Carr or not, I think that offense is going to support volume to Darren Waller. So I'm with you there that Darren Waller. I don't like 89 for him, but
Yeah, me neither. I
maybe
wish
not
he was.
start up picking. But if that's where he's being valued by people, I mean, in one of these drafts it was 101 overall. I mean, you may be able to still get him.
Yeah,
a little bit undervalued. You know,
So-
don't disagree.
Going down my tight end list real quick. OJ Howard is going in the 10th round, Jonnu Smith in the 11th, and David Njoku in the 12th. Like we'd mentioned earlier, fading Ertz, fading Kelsey this year as sells. You skip those guys early and stock up at running back and wide receiver. You could wait till the 10th round and go. How would you feel come out of a draft with OJ Howard, Jonnu Smith, and Njoku with your 10th, 11th, and 12th round picks? I would be ecstatic. I'd love that team.
There would be an obsessination.
Yes, indeed.
If I would love that team if I walked away with that. I mean, and you didn't even go to 145 overall. Ian Thomas, who's another guy
we like. Yeah.
going to fucking explode now that Greg Olsen is finally out of the way, as I've been begging for 2 years now, as I just kept sitting and staring at my Ian Thomas shares withering away, you know, but hey, he's now got a couple years of exposure and prime time. So yeah, there's weight on tight end. I mean, shit, if this isn't a buy low, sell high, even just some startup ADP advice, wait like John said, and then draft 2 or 3 of these guys.
Go 4 rounds in a row.
Yeah, just go and have fun with it. You know, I mean, I agree. Jonnu Smith at the ripe old age of 24 is sitting there. Ian Thomas at 23. Yeah, you can get value.
Like Joker's still only fucking 22 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, OJ Howard, 25 years old. I mean, listen, you were talking Brady earlier for my sales with Tampa Bay.
Oh boy,
imagine if he goes to Tampa Bay. I mean, Jesus Christ, OJ Howard might be the tight end 1 overall.
And Njoku's 23, by the way.
Guy probably shouldn't even have been able to play in the league when he came
Freak.
out.
Yeah, I still love him.
Hopefully better days are ahead because that guy.
They can't be worse.
No,
he was still a tight end 1, wasn't he?
Not last year. He didn't even play. He got hurt. He broke his wrist and had a concussion. That was the best thing that happened to him last year with Freddie Kitchens. He was getting injured in the preseason, I believe, or week 1. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. Go get you some value tight ends. Don't overpay. You know, we both just said, I said sell Kelsey, you said sell Ertz. That's how this all started, and it was buy all these cheap guys in round 10 and beyond. So, sound advice. We're going with. I've scrolled away and I lost him. Where is he? For my buy lows.
I've got a bunch. If you want me to throw another one,
right, you dive in on one.
Another guy, a big man crush of mine, and I think. Barring his unfortunate set of life circumstances, this guy is a top 12 pick, and now he's going 85th overall. Kareem Hunt. He's going in the 7th round. I've been a massive Kareem Hunt fan since day one. Everyone was worried about him and Chubb, and if he would, not get much of a role. And he was just fine in his limited role in Cleveland with Chubb. He'll be there another year. He's got a role in that offense, even with a new coach coming in. He's too good to keep off the field. They complemented each other well, especially in PPR leagues. I'm buying as much Kareem Hunt as I can. Actually, the time to buy him was right when that video came out of him getting arrested again, and I got him for a 3rd, and I feel like I was stealing because a year from now he'll be a free agent again, unrestricted if I'm not mistaken. And there'll be a market for him because he is, I think, one of the top 5 running backs in football.
Yeah, I mean, your love knows no bounds. I mean, this guy has literally tried to do everything to tank his career. And, he's following in the footsteps of Josh Gordon as a Cleveland pot smoker who tries to talk to police officers out of tickets, even though Josh Gordon never did that to my recollection. But I tied pot in Cleveland to them, and this is where we're at. But I don't know. I think all he's doing is just screwing my Nick Chubb shares up for one more year, and I don't want to know it. Try and bank on him being somewhere else next year because I think some of his production last year was outlierish. I mean, I think he was uber effective in the receiving game, and who knows how the new coaching staff will want to deploy a shared backfield. I mean, Stefanski was there with Dalvin Cook, where there was very little in the way of ancillary back touches when they had a bell cow back, and Nick Chubb can catch the ball. So I can't get there with you on the trade. I think Hunt's talented, and sure, I'd give a 3rd round pickup for him just on the chance he ends up elsewhere. But I think you're going to have a disappointing year this year, in my opinion. But if we're talking about running backs, and I wanted to go with some true buy low type players at the running back position, then look no further than pick 216 Justin Jackson overall, who's now the complement back for the Chargers until further notice. Rockwell Armstead, 203 overall.
Yeah, I've got him also.
That Fournette is probably a year away. Now, Armstead will also be a year older, I think, at that point in time. But we're talking buy lows right now, and I think those two guys have some tremendous buy low potential as far as the running back position, and they're pretty much free, all things being considered. So you move I'd trade a 3rd round pick for either of those guys. You're talking about Kareem Hunt for a 3rd round pick. I'm be willing to ship a 3rd round pick out for the upside of those two guys in their offenses. And
here's a few Armstead trades for you. Armstead for a kicker and 310. Armstead and 212 for Larry Fitzgerald. I would take the Armstead side. Armstead for Devontae Parker. I would probably take the Armstead side. Armstead for 410, which is free. So yeah, he is a buy low, and it is proving it through picks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jamal Williams is going to pick 194 in startups. What are people thinking? You know, Matt Breida's going 169. I mean, I guess
I love Matt Breida.
He's going to end up somewhere else. I mean, Carlos Hyde, 185. He's not going to be back in Houston next year.
Another guy similar to Armstead a little bit as far as might be waiting to take over a job in a year or two, just a few spots down. I like Gus Edwards, 223.
Yeah, sneaky younger than I thought. I feel like I thought he was going to be older than 24 because, Mark Ingram, I believe, is 30.
Might be 31 even.
Yeah, I was going to say, if not older.
18th round.
Injured to finish last year. You know, that's sage advice right there. Yes, Mark Ingram he's already December 21st. Happy belated birthday, Mark. You are already a 30-year-old gentleman. And in a run-based offense, we were talking Justice Hill earlier in some of those names that you mentioned. Well, you're getting Gus Edwards like 90 picks later than I think I saw. Justice Hill was 139. Gus Edwards, 224, 223. Yes, I will. I'll gladly take that value. 90 picks later in that offense, and Gus Edwards productive when he got the chance. I thought he was older, to be totally honest with you, which is why he didn't even rate with me at the time. But I'm really digging down here because I want buy lows, and this one might not be buy low anymore. But Blake Jarwin at 241,
another tight end.
25-year-old, finally, it sounds like getting Jason Witten out of his fucking way so that he can just explode. And once they bring Dak back, if the new CBA goes through, I don't see how Amari Cooper is back in Dallas with Dak after they, unless they get Dak under contract, which I don't believe they're going to do. I think they're going to have to franchise tag Dak. And then they can negotiate long-term. And I think there's a 50-50 chance Amari Cooper is playing elsewhere next year, which then all of a sudden thrusts Michael Gallup into that alpha position, and Blake Jarwin is going to be a tasty target in the middle of the field for Dak Prescott. So he's another guy that I like a lot. I think the 241 number is going to probably be in the high ones by the time the NFL season comes around. He's going to be in the 180s, 190s, and realize like a 40 to 50 spot jump. Without even doing anything. I mean, we're talking before the preseason. So I think the upside's there for Jarwin. So this is probably the end of his buy low window. So we're talking about right now, before the draft, before anything else changes, don't know if they bring someone else in. Wouldn't expect there would be a lot of draft capital in any player that they do bring in. So I'd be out there trying to kick the tires on Blake Jarwin, who's probably like the tight end 3 or 4 on someone's roster.
Kind of scrolling back up to stay with go back to running backs for a minute. I know this is going to be unpopular, but and obviously what happens to Kenyon Drake will impact this. But David Johnson at 102 is quite disrespectful in my opinion.
I mean, I love him in a startup probably at that point, because if his name's still sitting there, and we're in the 8th round, I'd probably be inclined, especially when Kenyon Drake's ADP is 69 right now. So I can't argue it. You're a bigger David Johnson fan than me. I liked him.
I mean, he did look terrible, so I'm not like sticking up for the guy. He looked awful when he was on the field. He also had some injuries, so give me the offseason to get healthy. Like I said, if Drake comes back, obviously is not going to get the volume. But at 102, you're getting this guy has RB1 overall upside. Does he still now? He may. If he's the only running back there, and if he could stay on the field for a year.
That the unfortunateness of it is that we're falling down a David Johnson rabbit hole, it appears, because David Johnson really hasn't been good since 2016.
That's fair. But I think you're getting
long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting the value, but I mean, an injured 2017 season, 2018. I mean, do we use the term compiler? I mean, it wasn't anything close to his 2016. Sure, 300 touches, just under 1,400 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I'll take the season. 3.6 yards per rush wasn't that impressive. Still put up decent reception totals, almost 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, but. I don't know, just looked old last year, and sure. I know it was injuries, but man, he pretty much had a 1-year dynasty window.
You're not wrong.
Changes. People wanted David Johnson to be in for the bloated contract that Steve Keim should have got fired for giving him. 2016. Almost an outlier season.
Here's a couple trades for you. Tell me which side you want. DJ and a 2022 second for Philip Lindsay.
I hate Philip Lindsay.
DJ. David Johnson or 205.
Oh man, life comes at you fast. I didn't jump right on David Johnson on that. I mean, I'm a cop out for that. I'm like, let me know if I'm on the clock and one of the guys I like is there. I'd probably hit the reset button. If like a Keyshawn Vaughn's there,
sure.
Or your boy AJ Dillon. I mean, let me try again. I don't like AJ Dillon, but I'm trying to think who's going to be there in the mid-second. Zach Moss, if he continues to fall down boards,
he'll be there.
Lands in a good place. I mean, I'm probably willing to make that move because I don't trust David Johnson. And I do think that they bring Kenyon Drake back. I don't know how, because you're just going to have a lot of money committed to the running back position.
Ridiculous.
But they traded for him, and there's no way they just traded for him for 8 games and see you. I think there's an 80% chance he's an Arizona Cardinal in 2020, Kenyon Drake. And if he is, there's no way that David Johnson can be worth Christ, I guess it can be worth 103 or wherever he is, but he's the backup in Arizona if Kenyon Drake's back there.
Yeah. David Johnson, 414. David Johnson.
Full IDP league.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just giving him away. I'll hold on. Maybe he comes out of the gate fast and I can flip him then, but it's just crazy looking back at David Johnson's numbers. Where they were talking about, that he was the 1,000 guy. It was supposed to be him. He was supposed to be Chris McCaffrey after 2016. Where he has 120 targets, 80 catches, 879 yards. I mean, God, he looks so good. I mean, it's just the sky seemed to be the limit, and then boom, injury, and fuck, he's going to be irrelevant in 2 years.
Yeah, running back is not where you want your kids to be.
Yeah, listen, any running back in the top 60 of ADP, sell him. I think that's probably a pretty good point of reference to take. I mean, I wouldn't be averse to seeing what I could get for Christian McCaffrey right now. I mean, that's pie in the sky because I'd never be willing to pay probably what his going price is to get him. And I don't know if I had him, if I'd be willing to sell for what I see as some of those deals because just what McCaffrey is a known commodity. But you don't get 10 years of production out of these guys. You don't get 8 years of production out of these guys. You usually get like 4. That's about like the peak years. You really get 4 top years of production.
Yeah.
You know, before they start falling off. You were saying sell Zeke is 5. I mean, Alvin Kamara just had an injury-riddled year. But see what an injury could do to a player like explosive like that. And he's, you know, he might be another one you might want to kick the tires on selling. Dalvin Cook, who has he's just always injured, you know, is right now running back 6 behind Zeke. I mean, Christ, Mom, don't let your kids grow up to be running backs. You know, I'd rather have Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon, who are at 11 and 12.
Yep.
Than honestly, and I probably can get something for both of them than those guys we just referenced.
You're correct.
Best days are ahead of Chubb and Mixon. I can't say the same for even some of the earlier guys. I mean, we told the case on Zeke. Dalvin Cook, I love. He scares me to death with his injuries.
I agree completely. As you said, by Madison earlier.
Exactly.
You're right.
Even talk about Derrick Henry. You better sell Derrick Henry. Better. He's right now 17, 25-year-old running back who's just been ridden into the dirt these last couple of years. Do you think he ends up back in Tennessee?
I think they franchise him, so yes.
So you think they're working out a long-term deal with a quarterback, whether it's Brady or Tannehill? They're not using the tag on Tannehill. They're going to get a deal in place, and they're going to franchise Derrick Henry and give him like $16 million or whatever.
I don't know what the number would be for a running back, but yeah, unless they can work something out with him. But I don't see him signing. You know, he's not giving him a hometown discount, so they're going to have to pay something substantial for him. So tag him for a year, and if they tag him for a year, I would absolutely buy him, because if they only know they're holding him for another year, they're going to run the fucking wheels off of him.
Yeah, we've already saw what that looks like. I mean, yeah, they kind of throttled back at the end of the regular season, but his regular season touches his first 3 years ago: 123, 187, 230, 321. They were working up to run him out the door before they handed him 83 carries in 3 playoff games with another 5 receptions, 88 touches in 3 playoff games. I mean, he was that entire offense. He's the reason they went as far as they did. I'm not going to begrudge him that, but he's also a bigger back that does not catch the ball. He has 57 career regular season catches, and he looks decent doing it when they use him. You know, he gets off big runs. He's got a decent average. He doesn't look like he has, bad hands. They just don't use him.
Yeah, that was a thing. Not to jump over here. That was a thing going back to me being the big Senior Bowl guy. Going back to the Senior Bowl, that was a thing where they were like, he didn't catch much in college. He was running the drills with wide receivers at the Senior Bowl, and people that were there said he looked just as good as the receivers. It's just a usage thing that Tennessee has chose to do with them, because I have not heard anyone at any point from who has seen him, practice and stuff in college or through the Senior Bowl or even as a pro. No one said he can't do it. They just haven't used him. Now, using Fournette as an example, he kind of had the same bit of a knock on him. And then they just said, fuck it, we're going to throw the ball to you, 80, 100 times this year? Let's get crazy. If Henry lands in a spot, and they said they're getting rid of Deion Lewis today. That was all over the Twitter sphere that they're getting rid of Lewis. So those touches as a receiver are now opened up. Henry could pop this year, and then they just dump him.
Derrick Henry has 2 less career regular season targets than Leonard Fournette had receptions last year.
That's a fun stat.
Hashtag numbers. Hey, Derrick Henry, you're listed as 6'3", 247. You're pretty fast. You might want to convert to a tight end. Just putting that out there. If you say you can run routes with them, I think you could probably have a late career resurgence as a position change.
Well, I have no more buys that are worth talking about. You have anybody else?
Buys? Oh, do I buy? I don't like buying people. I like selling people.
Me too.
I guess that's where I end up because there was no screaming names. I mean, there's some guys that I think are going to be more valuable next year. Mecole Hardman, I'm a stand for Mecole Hardman. I think better days are ahead. Sammy Watkins is not going to be back in Kansas City one way or the other next year. Mecole Hardman is going to be opposite Tyreek Hill. That's just screaming value to me. Curtis Samuel is one spot behind him at 92. I like Curtis Samuel. I think once they get some stability at the quarterback position, whether it's Cam or whoever they draft or a year from now, Curtis Samuel is going to find value. Your boy Darius Slayton at 97, can't argue it. I mean, still, after the season he had as a field stretcher, there's no one else that does what he does on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, Sterling Shepard and Tate are both possession guys. Slayton's the deep guy. I think he's undervalued at 97. Deontay Johnson at 99.
Oh, I didn't even catch that one.
Consider me not a James Washington fan. I still am Team Juju, although you want to talk about selling. Juju's sitting up there at 14 overall. Okay, he's young and he had some great seasons. And, we want to tie it to his injury and Big Ben's injury, but Big Ben's not long for the league. And who knows what the future's going to hold there. If you can get 14 overall value for Juju, I might not be opposed to that. I mean, he's going above DJ Moore right now. I would take Juju in a second for DJ Moore, straight up, without hesitating.
I wish I knew what was happening with the quarterback in Carolina.
Don't care. I mean, Big Ben is not the long-term answer. Who even knows what Big Ben's going to be when he comes back? His fucking elbow operated on. He looked like a goddamn trash truck driver in the local Y throwing balls on Twitter like a month ago. He is just not taking care of himself during his downtime. I'm not hitching my wagon to that solution. So he'd be a sell. And if he's a sell, Deontay Johnson's just a screaming buy there because Pittsburgh just knows wide receivers. So that's just some that jumped out to me. There wasn't like any tweener guys. Like there wasn't any in that in the low hundreds that really jumped out at me as buy value. I mean, it's like almost go a lot further down and find value outside of some of those running backs that we talked earlier. Go get Alexander Madison. If you can, be willing to sell him a little cheaper.
Yeah, so I think that will do it. We went over our obsessinations with some of these guys.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll have Mr. Burke back with us next week whenever we record again. So you have anything on the way out, Walk?
I do. And it's just because I saw Boston Scott sitting at 196. And Jordan Howard will not be back. And Miles Sanders is the truth, as I said, that he will be. But Boston Scott, it was undeniable how productive he was. And they had a role for Darren Sproles in Philadelphia where they were just finding ways to 8 to 10 touches a week. And at 196, you could do a lot worse than Boston Scott. So going out on an Eagle, go buy yourself some Boston Scott. But no, the Obsessination episode is complete.
Fantastic. Yeah, give us a follow, like, rate, subscribe on Apple Podcasts now, not iTunes?
Yes.
Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it. Give us a follow on Twitter at TheFantasy40. Other than that, that wraps up our buy sells. Good luck. Wash your hands and see you soon. We are out of here.